Hello, my dear students and the rest of the learners. Welcome to part 27 of a 41-part series of tutorials in Fundamentals of Object-Oriented Programming in Java. In this tutorial, we are going to be looking at what we call the method parameters in Java. My name is MemGM, or you can simply call me Emily Swap. Information can be passed to methods as a parameter. Parameters act as variables inside the method. Parameters are specified after the method name inside the parentheses. You can add as many parameters as you want, but you just need to separate each of them with a comma. The scope of a variable or method refers to where it can be used in a program. A parameter's scope is limited to the body of the method in which it is declared. The variables that are declared in the body of a method have scope, which extends from the point where they are declared to the end of the block of code in which they are declared. The parameters are therefore local variables which are declared in the parameter list of a method's header and which have initial values specified by the arguments in a method call. The scope of a parameter is the same as the scope of a variable declared at the very local scope, beginning of the body of a method. Once the flow of execution leaves a method, its parameters and other local variables cease to exist. The scope of local variables is referred to as local scope. Instance variables, class variables, and all methods have scope that extends throughout the entire class, that is, class scope. They can be used in the body of any method and in the expressions that assign initial values to class-level variables. For this reason, there are two restrictions to remember. Number one is that instance variables and instance methods cannot be used in the body of a class method, one modified with static, unless an instance of the class is created there and then. The dot notation of qualified class scope names must be used to refer to the variable or method. This is because the class methods are called without reference to a particular instance of the class. Method overloading means that two or more methods have the same name but have different parameter lists, either a different number of parameters or different types of parameters. When a method is called, the corresponding method is invoked by matching the arguments in the call to the parameter lists of the methods. The name together with the number and the types of a method's parameters list is what we call the signature of a method, and therefore every method has a signature, and this signature is different from the signature for another method. The return type itself is not part of the signature of a method. Therefore, the parameter amount is used by a caller to set a value to the method. This is called passing a value into the method. A method parameter is a value accepted by the method depending on the type of value that has been passed to it through the invoking or calling statement. Therefore, a method can have any number of parameters. If a method is created with the parameters, we need to pass the corresponding values while calling the method. The syntax for a call statement that passes parameters to the method and receives the results returned by the method can be written as follows. So we have the statement, for example, as object name dot method name, and then you enclose the various parameters in the parentheses. You just list them. Note the difference between the call statement and the header of a method. So this is simply a call statement to a method. So what you do is that if the method being invoked is supposed to return a value, then you must assign that value to a certain variable. So that's why we have variable equals to object name dot method name followed by the parameters that are being passed to that method. For example, if you have a method called add numbers that we looked at in the previous presentation in this series, then you have to create an object for manipulating the contents of that class in which the method belongs. So you have a class called add numbers, and therefore we create an object called add numbers out. Then dot. So you are able to access add numbers through that object. So we pass the parameters num1 and num2 to the method called add numbers. And once that method is executed, the value which will be returned will be stored or assigned in the variable called result. If the variable has not been declared before it is used, you can declare it and initialize it with the returned value at the same time as follows. So you can declare a variable that is supposed to hold the value from the returned value or from the value being returned by a method. So what you just do is to precede the name of the variable with the data type. Remember, this is only done if you have not declared the variable in advance. So you can declare it at the point of use. So you assign the value being returned as follows. You declare the variable called result, which is supposed to hold the value of type integer, and you initialize it or you assign to it the value which is being returned by the method, for example, called add numbers, which has been invoked by passing to 82 numbers, num1 and num2. So this is an example of a program. The program for adding numbers, making use of parameters, and returning a value. So these are comments. And then the name of our program, the name of our project, the name of our project, which is the name of the package, is add numbers. Then we have import java.attribute.scanner. Then we have our class. Our class is called add numbers. And it has the following definition. It has a method. And this method is called add numbers. It is a public method. It is receiving two parameters, A and B, or two values, one as A and the other one as B. And the data which is supposed to be received is of type integer. So it simply means that this method called add numbers is being passed into it two arguments or two parameters, parameter A and parameter B, both of type integer. And this method will return a value to the caller, and the value will be of type integer. Then we have the statement. We have the statement as follows. We are declaring a variable or a memory location called result, which is of type integer, and you're initializing it with the value received as A and the value received as B, the sum of the value received as A and this value received as B. So whatever that will be received as A and whatever will be received as B will be added together, and the result or the value will be assigned into the memory location called result, which at the same time is being declared. So this statement simply means that we are declaring a local variable called result and initializing it with the sum of the two values received, value A and B. And then this method called add numbers will return the value in memory location called result to the sender as integer. That is the main. So that's the work of this method. So we go to the main method. The main method is main, public static void main. So what do we have there? We have two local variables called num1 and num2 of type integer. Then we declare an object for manipulate the data entry, that is input of type scanner. Then from there, we create an object for manipulating the method called add numbers, which is of type add numbers class, as follows. Then we read our values. We prompt the user to enter the first number. So the value is typed and then through the method called nextInt. And this value is assigned to memory location called num1. Then we prompt the user to enter the second number. We read it through the method for reading integer. So we read the value through nextInt under the object input, and we assign the value received to num2. Then we invoke our method. We invoke our add numbers method as follows. So what we are doing here is we invoke the method. We are telling the compiler, go and look for the method called add numbers. And as you go there, carry with you two values. The value stored in num1 and the value stored in num2. So we are passing two variables to the method called add numbers as arguments. So we have num1 and num2 as arguments. So we are passing num1 and num2 to the method called add numbers, which can be accessed through the object and numbers object. So once that statement is executed at there or any counter, the compiler will go look for the method called add numbers of type add numbers class. So it will invoke this class and then look for the method called add numbers and bring in place the two values which have been passed in place. So num1 and num2 will come as A. Whatever value is in num1, whatever value is num2, we will only put here as parameter A and parameter B in that. So the value passed as num1 and num2 received as A will be added together, and the value is not a variable block of variable called result. And then that value will be returned back to the caller, that is the main, and the processor will come and continue from where it had left here. So what it will do is that the statement is telling the compiler or translator or processor to send a memory location called sum aside, which is going to hold the value of type integer and assign the result received into it. So the result that has been received as a result will be assigned with the memory location called sum. So this statement is declaring and initializing the memory location called sum with the value which has been received from the method called add numbers. And then from there, the next statement will be to display the value in num1 and the value in num2 and the value in the sum. Because the value has been brought from the main method or from the add numbers method, the add numbers method has returned a value. That value has been stored in memory location called sum. So the statement that we have here will display, or the processor will display the sum of pick the value in the memory location called num1, displayed here, and display the ones and pick the value in memory location called num2, displayed here, is pick the value in memory location called sum and displayed here. And that will be the end of that program. So if the value of num1 is 5, the value of num2 is 6, then what this statement will do is to display the ones as follows. The sum of 5 and 6 is 11, meaning 11 is the value which has been returned by the method called add numbers. And that value 11 is what has been stored in memory location called sum. So my dear students and the rest of the learners, let us code this program in our IDE, that is Eclipse IDE, and see how the program will behave. So we are going to start our IDE. We are going to load our IDE, which is Eclipse. Here it is. You wait for it to load as usual. Once your IDE is ready, you then proceed and create a project. So you can click on File, then New, and then you click on Java Project. Now, the name of our project can be and numbers, because it is for adding numbers. Now, I'm being told that this name already exists. So you can change it. So I can add, or can have it like add numbers method, and numbers method. And then you click on finish. So here we have our project, which is add numbers method. You right click on it, point on the new, and click on class. So you can see the name of our package is add numbers method. So the name of our class should be similar to the name of our program, our Java program. So which name do you want to give? I can call it and numbers. I can have it as and numbers. Let me write it in small. But you can see this name, this method is discouraged, so you can make it uppercase. And then click on public static void and click on finish. So here is our program, the stub. The name of our package is and numbers method. But the name of our class is and numbers. And you can see that the name of the class and the name of the file are the same, and numbers.java. So from here, you can either turn this text as it is and add the necessary code, or you can erase it and type it afresh. So what I'll do, I'll remove the part for the comment here. Then I'll type my code here, the code that we have already discussed, or I just paste it here. So I can paste my code here. So this is the main section, the main method. Remember, this is the program that we have already discussed. As you can see, there is an error here because I've not declared, I've not typed this statement. So we need to add our statement, import Java, import Java dot util dot scan here. And you can see the error which was here as it disappeared. Next is, you can see add numbers. There's an error in add numbers. Why? Because the name of this class is not the same as this class. So I have to change this one to uppercase, like that. Add numbers. Now, what is remaining? My dear students and the rest of the learners, you can see that I have not yet defined the method called and numbers. So what we need to do is I need to click here, there, create a space here so that I define my method. You must always define the method before you use it. So you can type your class here, the definition for the class for our method. The class is here, the class is numbers. but we now need to define our method here for adding the numbers. So what we need to do is simply, we need to do it as follows. So I will simply paste my definition there. But if you are typing, you just need to type it manually directly in your IDE. So this is a method for adding numbers. You can see the name, and this name are matching. Secondly, you can see that this name of the class is matching with this name of the class. So that is our program. So what we need to do is to simply save it, and then we can run it to see how it will behave. So click on Run menu, then click Run. There we go. My dear students and the rest of the learners, you can see that my program is executing. It has been compiled to object code and it's being executed, and therefore there is no error. So we're being asked to enter the first number. Which statement is that? It is this statement here. Enter the first number. So it's the compiler or the processor is here waiting for the value. So enter the first number, 67, then I press enter. It is now asking for the second number. So enter second number of type 78. Once I press enter, that value will be accepted, and the two values, 67 and 78, will be sent to the method called add numbers here. You can see even when I click here, when I click, it is being highlighted here. So the two values will be brought in that order, 67 and 78 here. Then they will be added together. The answer will be stored in this variable called result. Then that value will be returned back to the caller. So it will be brought back here, and it will be assigned in this variable, which is being declared here by the name sum. Once that is done, then this statement will be executed. So immediately I press enter now, what we expect to see is this statement. The rest of the activities will be done very fast. So the statement will be the sum of 67 and 78 is the value which would have been returned and assigned in memory location called the sum. So let's press enter. You can see the sum of 67 and 78 is 145. So that's how you write, you code the classes. That's how you code methods. You can have as many methods as possible, but what is important is how to invoke them within your main method, which is this one. And therefore, my dear students and the rest of the learners, you can close or edit task, and then you click on exit so that we exit IDE. And with that, my dear students and the rest of the learners, we have come to the end of part 27 of this series. You can proceed and watch, listen, and practice on part 28 of this series, in which you are going to learn about arrays. So we are going to be looking at an introduction to arrays. Congratulations for learning part 27 or 41 on parameters or on method parameters in fundamentals of object-oriented programming using Java. You can access the rest of the parts in the series, as well as other computer or ICT videos, by clicking or tapping on Emily Swap ICT YouTube channel below this video. To subscribe to the channel, tap on subscribe button below this video in YouTube if it's not currently reading as subscribed. For any further correspondence, kindly write it to us through the email emilyswap@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening to me. Let's meet in part 28 of this series, and God bless.